All right, chilling here on the west side of the island, I came across this right here. This is a Bronia maritima, aka beach sand verbena. It's in the Nyctiginaceae or the 4 o'clock family. Another name for this is sticky sand verbena, as you can tell, like it's sticking to my fingers very readily. But yeah, this is a rare plant, endemic to Catalina Island and not really found anywhere else. And it prefers like this type of habitat, this kind of proximal to the beach. It's always a pleasure to see something like this. Ah, this is nice, isn't it? Alright, welcome to the west side of the island. You notice here on this west side, a lot of wave pressure. This is basically the windward side. So the wind pressure is basically creating these waves, and these waves are pummeling into the west side of this island. Much different than the east side. The east side is nice and calm because it's on the leeward side. But as you can see before you, you got this wave pressure pummeling these rocks and everything. But what comes with a lot of that wave pressure is high degrees of oxygenation. And the organisms that live within the cracks and crevices and crenulations within these rocks, this rocky intertidal area, are essentially adapted to this type of environment. Taking advantage of that nice oxygen-rich seawater that's coming through here. So if I'm not mistaken, I think the tide is about to reach its low point, which means it'll start coming back up. I mean, you can see it's obviously wet down there, but what I'm noticing up here where it's dry, you still have organisms that are adapted to this particular part of the intertidal. And if we look closer, you can see that there's still a good number of organisms that have adapted to this type of section of the intertidal. First one being these little acorn barnacles right here in the genus Balanus or Stalinus. I never know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, it is a crustacean. So it's an arthropod that has evolved over hundreds of millions of years to be a sessile organism, basically kind of like hunkering down on the rock, and it produces a chitinous exoskeleton that's enforced with calcium carbonate, high amounts of calcium carbonate, to where it becomes like pretty hard, pretty tough. Like if you're to fall on this rock, this will definitely cut you up pretty bad. Common name acorn barnacles that are very adapted to the upper intertidal where it gets pretty dry. And as the tide rises, it'll rise way high, definitely past this point right here. And a lot of the splashing that occurs from that wave pressure within that water is going to carry little micronutrients and maybe even little microorganisms that these guys can take advantage of. Another organism that I noticed in this section is right here. So these guys, are these things right here. This is a gastropod. So it's in the phylum Mollusca, class Gastropoda, which means stomach foot. It's a snail essentially. And I believe this is in the genus Littorina. And I don't know exactly what species this is. There's Littorina all over the globe, all over rocky intertidal sections of the globe. But yeah, a good number of gastropods are grazing type animals. And more than likely, these things will probably be grazing on the microalgae that's left up here from all that splashing when the high tide comes in. Very small. You can see it's like smaller than my fingernail. But yeah, if you go up to like the high section of rock jetties, you'll see these all over the place. And they like to hide in a lot of the cracks and crevices like those right there, you see? Yeah, I keep on knocking these Littorina off the rocks, but here, let me grab one so I can show something to you. So I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. I don't know if you can see that, but right there, this is an adaptation as to why it can live up here in the upper intertidal and not dry out and desiccate. So that little section right there, it looks like shiny, flat, that's called an operculum, and many gastropod species have that. And that's basically like a valve, like a door, essentially. So when it goes dormant, it can shut that door and seal its body off from the outside environment. Some of the land snails that you might be familiar with, they don't have this operculum structure. They do something else. They'll actually create a mucus layer that basically tents up the opening to their shell. Again, not allowing that precious moisture to evaporate into the environment. But yeah, these guys have an operculum. Littorina, genus Littorina. So another gastropod that I saw here was this thing right here. So this is what you call a limpet. The common name of these is called a limpet. And I believe that this is in the genus Lyonia. The genus Lyonia is very common for limpets in the rocky intertidal and everything. You can see right next to it, you have one with a different kind of shell morphology. But limpets all have that classic morphology of kind of like a flattened shell, or like, you know, kind of a concave shell. And it's concave for a number of reasons. One, so this is also a grazing type species, so it'll be grazing on microalgae that's found on the rocks here. Another reason is having this shape makes it pretty difficult to pry off the rock. If you're a predator trying to make a meal out of these things, it's very difficult to pry these off. And the third reason they're this shape is because they're very territorial. They're kind of like territorial cows. And they can actually use the wedge portion of this shell to actually pry off competitors off the rock to get them off of their grazing areas. Yeah, genus Lyonia, pretty interesting. All right, let's see what else they got there in the wet section. Oh, right here we go. So if you see that, hopefully it doesn't get too scared. But right there, you're gonna have to forgive me, but I do not remember the species or genus name of these. But what I can tell you is that it's an arthropod in the order Isopoda. So it's related to animals like what you know of as roly-polies and other organisms within that classification. So Isopoda, probably one of the most insect-like crustaceans. The insects themselves are actually a stem off of a crustacean group. But the reason I say that these are insect-like is because they have a tracheal system similar to insects, but it was evolved separately. So there's a high degree of convergent evolution that occurred. But yeah, these things are like, you know, scavenging type species. They scavenge the rocks. Very fast moving. This one's moving very slow, but they can move incredibly fast. Somebody told me that they bite too, but I don't know. And these can be found all over the mainland, just not just Catalina. All right, taking a look at the little more wet section of this rocky intertidal. I need to keep my wits above me so I don't get hit by a wave. But yeah, in this more wetter section right here, you can see we got another species of gastropod. These right here. The common name for these things are called turban snails. But yeah, another grazing type of gastropod. Except the difference between these and the other gastropods we saw earlier is that these tend to like the middle intertidal or the lower intertidal. Yeah, you can see them grazing right there, just kind of moving along the rocks, eating all the microalgae that's colonizing these rocks. And these also have an operculum, and I'll show you. Oh, there's a big wave coming. Better get out of here. Yeah, there you go. You can see that operculum right there, closing up. A little doorway to the shell of the organism. I wonder if the operculum is homologous to like the second shell. Like, you know how bivalves have two shells? Oh, look at it popping out. Ooh, it wants to come out. But you know how bivalves have two shells? I wonder if the operculum is kind of homologous to the other shell. I don't even know if you understand what I'm saying. I guess what I'm asking is I wonder how operculums evolved. But yeah, again, this is a turban snail, another grazing gastropod that can be found right here in the wet sections of the intertidal. That was a big wave. I better finish this up quick. There's one more thing that I saw here that I feel like I should talk about that looks like a gastropod, but it's not. Let me go grab one real quick before a wave takes me out. Oh, got it. Okay. All right, right there. So I'm holding it like this, basically to calm it down because I spooked it when I picked it up. You've probably heard of these before. The common name for these things are called hermit crabs, and I believe the specific species of this is Pagurus samuelis, aka the blue striped hermit crab, because it has those blue stripes on its legs. Yeah, but yeah, it's basically made a home in one of the dead turban snail shells. And there it goes, right there, trying to walk away. I don't want it to fall. Yeah, Crustacea, Decapoda. And these are browsing type species. I need to keep resetting it. Sorry. They're a browsing type species, so they go around kind of scavenging for bits of food like carrion or you know, pieces of animal flesh that are just floating around in the water, dead things and stuff like that. You know, the scavengers, pretty good scavengers too. Oh, look at him trying to get up. So what you know of as crabs, the morphology of crabs have evolved multiple times within the crustacea. And this is just an example of one certain group of crabs. And when it comes to hermit crabs, they've evolved the extra step to have a body that basically takes advantage of all these vacant shells. And they won't just use shells too, you know, they'll use like other things like anthropomorphic things or anthropogenic things that resemble shells. I mean, I've heard of hermit crabs using stuff like, you know, soda cans and weed containers and stuff like that for shells. Anything that'll do, essentially. Yeah. Pagura samuelis, the blue striped hermit crab. All right, that was a nice little bit of biologizing in the rocky intertidal systems here on the west side of Catalina Island where the wave pressure is strong. And now we're gonna head to the east side of the island where the wave pressure is calm. I know y'all like my rhymes. All right, quickly on the way out, I found this right here. This is Dudley avirens. I'm sure there's a specific subspecies to this that I'm not really familiar with right now. But yeah, this is another rare plant, and I'm sure this variety can only be found here on Catalina Island. Family Crassulaceae, or the stonecrop family. Not quite flowering yet, but soon it'll be nice. It'll be a nice kind of torch of flowers, essentially. You see right here from last season, these dead stalks. Yeah, Dudley avirens. Not sure what the subspecies is. Maybe I'll find out later. All right, we're here on the eastern side of the island, right here in the town of Avalon, where you have this obvious urban sprawl where it's nice and calm. The leeward side, you don't have a lot of wind blowing into the island on this side, so naturally the water stays relatively calm as compared to the west side. I guess when it comes to animal species and everything like that, really it's not too much different here compared from the east to the west side. Yeah, we just sitting here doing a little angling off the pier and seeing what they got out here. All right, so what I noticed first right here, our little friend hanging out there on the bottom of the pier, we have Nyctocorax, aka the black crowned night heron. Sit and wait ambush predator. It's in the family Ardeidae, which is the family of egrets and herons. The Ardeids are within the Pelecaniformes, which is the order that includes the pelicans. Okay, so, okay, we're on. Oh, okay. No, that's cool. That's cool. Bring it up. Hey. Okay, so here we go. We have Cercocarpus symmetricus, aka the Pacific jack mackerel. And it's a small one. Dang, look at those pectoral fins. Look how nice and tapered they are. Pretty classic of pelagic swimming fish. That is fish that swim around in the water column, not hunkered down to the bottom or benthic or demersal or anything like that. It is in the order Carangiformes in the family Carangidae, which is the family of jacks. So that includes fish like yellowtail, and oh, look at it shaking. They're doing that subcarangiform movement. It is not a true mackerel. True mackerel are in the thuniform order, or in the Scombridae family. And true scombrids have finlets that go past the second dorsal fin. And you can see here, so the first dorsal fin has those nice spiny rays. The second dorsal fin, oh, stop shaking. That second dorsal fin is pretty much contiguous, almost all the way to the caudal section right there. The same goes for the anal fin. The anal fin, even though right here it's kind of messed up, probably because we caught it, the anal fin is usually contiguous, more so less to the up to the caudal peduncle. Notice those two prominent anal spines right there that are also common on a lot of carangiform fish. And what's specific about this species is that lateral line. See how it kind of goes up and down? It basically stays out of the way of that pectoral fin. But yeah, common bait fish out here in Southern California. If you go up to Northern California and also into other parts of the Northern Pacific, these get much bigger. They'll get like about 2.5 feet long. Put up a pretty good fight too. But yeah, I've kept it out of the water long enough. I'm pretty sure it's paralyzed, but we're gonna give it to our friend the black crowned night heron. Let's see.
Yeah.
And he got it. There you go.
For the night. You're welcome.
And that's what that species does best. Hangs around people and takes advantage. Okay, I'm out here at a spot in the inland backcountry and I came across a couple of interesting plants. First of all, we got right here a Puntia littoralis, Cactaceae family. I already talked about that one. Right next to it is Salvia apiana in the Lamiaceae, or the mint and sage family, aka white sage. This is the same plant that you would bundle up, dry out, and you know, if you're into Wiccan or witchcraft or anything like that, you would sage yourself in order to get rid of bad spirits, so I guess you can find a man. But the most interesting plant that I'm most interested in is this one right here. This is Crossosoma californica, aka the Catalina Crossosoma. It's in the family Crossosomaceae, which is a family that does not comprise many species. I think there's only two. There's one that's endemic to the Catalina Island. There's this one, which is endemic to Catalina and San Clemente Islands. I think there's a couple of individual plants that can be found in the mainland. But there's another species within the same family that I think it's a desert or desert transition species. But the interesting thing about this plant is it's drought deciduous. And right now it's spring on Catalina Island, so you can see the foliage is looking quite nice. It's the plant is looking quite filled up with the leaves. It's not quite flowering right now. It should flower soon. But yeah, it's drought deciduous, meaning that when it gets hot and dry, it'll actually go dormant. These leaves will kind of, you know, dehiss and fall off and everything, and it'll start to look like it's dying, but it's not really dying. It's just going dormant, and it's going dormant so, you know, it can save its energy, essentially save its energy to when it becomes wetter. But yeah, this is an endangered plant, very lovely endangered plant, only found on Catalina and San Clemente Islands, and there's a couple of individuals found in the mainland. Yeah, Catalina Crossosoma, endangered plants here on Catalina Island. Go and learn something. Okay, Ichabod Slice out here reporting on the southeastern side of the island. Looking pretty nice, looking pretty springish in front of me right now. And I know you're looking at these yellow flowers and you're thinking, oh yeah, it's like super beautiful. But I hate to burst your bubble. This is an invasive plant. I believe this is Genista linifolia, Fabaceae family. So the family of peas and legumes. You see it's got those classic legume shaped flowers, those classic Fabacean flowers with that banner and keel. Yeah, this Genista is pretty much taking over the whole southeast side of the island. It's basically kind of overtaking the native veg over there. I wonder if the Conservancy is going to put in any effort to pull these out. There's a lot of it too, and I'm sure it's a notoriously difficult task in order to do so. But hey, if they want to do it, man, more power to them. You know, I'm all about restoring things to their natural state as best as you can, you know. And you know what, why not? Why not come rip it out and allow for a native vegetation to come take its place, like this right here. Oh yeah, this right here, we got Salvia mellifera, aka the black sage. Common plant found in coastal sage scrub environments. Very, very aromatic leaves too, aromatic foliage. I think Wiccans will also burn this to detoxify themselves from whatever demons that they think they have. And once they do that, I'm sure they can find a husband. My bad, I'm talking shit. I have nothing against Wiccans. Whatever your lifestyle is, do what you want to do. I'm not trying to get in the way of it. Okay, real quick, just pulled over to the side of the road here and I found these three birds. These three birds representing two different species within the Phalacrocoridae, which is the family of cormorants. Over here on the left, we have Nanopterum oridum. And then over here on the right, we have Aurelie penicillatus. Aurelie penicillatus, otherwise known as the Brandt's cormorant. And these two right here, commonly known as the double-crested cormorant. So both of these species are what you call a pursuit diving species, in which they will actively dive underwater in pursuit of their prey. Unlike, you know, say, where they go, those pelicans right there, Pelecanus occidentalis, those are plunge diving species. Well, they'll search out bait balls and plunge their whole body into them and try to get a meal that way. These are an interesting species. Apparently, especially for this one right here, it used to be in the genus Phalacrocorax, but I guess they changed it recently to Nanopterum. I guess they had more resolution in the taxonomy of things and everything. You notice the difference, one of the main differences you can tell between the two species. You can see this one here on Nanopterum has a primarily orange face, and these are outside of their breeding colors right now. I think their breeding colors will come around like more so during the winter and everything. Well, they'll have like a nice crest, hence the name double-crested cormorant. And then you can see right here with the Euryli, hopefully he'll turn his face towards us. It's kind of got that blue gular pouch. You can sort of see it. He turns. And the face is mostly black, but it's got that nice blue pouch underneath its bill. Also, Nanopterum isn't necessarily an exclusive ocean species. You can find these in rivers and, you know, large rivers and lakes and everything. Marsh systems, the delta system up north, these are pretty common up there. Whereas these guys, the Euryli, they're almost exclusively marine. So you really only find them on the edges of, you know, marine coastal systems. There you go, 2 species representing the Phalacrococoridae out here on Catalina Island. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed coming along with me to Catalina. I love it out here, not gonna lie. I mean, just like any island, you know, Catalina is a very unique place, but it does remain as one of the last strongholds for many rare species and many critical habitats for those rare species. And I mean, I don't know, say what you will, think what you think. In my opinion, I think it deserves to remain that way. Yes, for all of you watching this, I hope you've enjoyed this little gallivant around Catalina Island. You know, probably got to see certain places that not the average person gets to see. And hopefully after watching this, you have a little bit more of an appreciation for nature and for biology and ecology and anything. And if you don't, well, you know, it's cool, to each his own. I can only wish that people were into biology as much as I am. But, you know, that's just wishful thinking. It's all good. Everybody has their own thing, you know. I'm into biology. If you're into reality TV shows, makeup, and buying expensive clothes, that's all you. I guess in my opinion, all of this is worth more than all of that. I feel like a lot of people want to be blessed with importance and exclusivity. And to me, this is about as exclusive as you can get. But anyway, that's all I got to say. I hope you enjoyed this trip. Thank you for watching with me. I really appreciate all you viewers who are watching me. You know, I went from tens of views to hundreds of views. And yeah, I'm okay with that, you know. I'm not really doing this for money or anything like that. But again, yo, thank you for watching. I'm going to come out with some more videos. Y'all stay tight. Keep your decisions scientific. Stay away from all the gimmicks. I'll make it by a slice. Peace up. Peace out. Learn something.